Hey friends, I am getting ready to go get on a plane with Annalise and fly back to Michigan, spend a week. It's going to be amazing. She's looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I thought for a minute there that I might not get this trip this year because it was in close proximity to our previous trip to Michigan. I wondered if it made sense, but I'm really excited to get this time because it's a kind of time that I don't often get with my daughter. You know, I left town a couple times this year, once for 2 months and once for about 2 weeks, and in both those cases Annalise was just with her mom. But there's no equivalent to that on the other side, you know. And she's a little young to leave her mother for that much time anyway. But this gives me an opportunity to really be in direct, uninterrupted contact. And something that has been coming up or showing up is that I'm headed back into a family environment. It won't be quite the same. It'll be fewer people this time, and a different assortment of people. But I again registered, that I'm going into this family environment, and as I mentioned in my last, in many of the posts that I did while I was up there in the last trip, family trips give us the opportunity to do a certain kind of work that's actually really hard to do any other way. Now, I'm convinced it can be done. When we talk about, or when Sadhguru talks about burning karma, releasing karma, that's essentially an individual process, something that we can do in our own, on our own spiritual journey. But the community of a family, while it often triggers all kinds of things we don't want to see and would way rather not deal with, it also has the potential to be incredibly illuminating. And I think, over the past couple of days, I've been speaking a little bit about how I am becoming more and more aware of what my psychology is doing every day, and therefore what I am projecting into the space. It's like my mind becomes the ether of the house, along with Katie's. Between the two of us, we create the psychic space of this house. And Annalise is a part of that too, but she's very much in a receptive phase of her life. She's not determining that as much as she's receiving it. So when I see things manifesting in her, and I can quickly identify where that might be coming from in me, I have to take a look at that, and I have to kind of be willing to ask, is this what I really want to be transmitting? Is this really what is this what I believe is the best thing I could be transmitting to her, in the best environment I could be creating? And then that gets me into all the stuff about coming into my own power and getting really specific and concrete about what I'm doing next, all that stuff comes right back into the fore because it occupies my mind. It's to the extent that I'm not in my flow, my alignment fully, I'm transmitting that day in, day out. So this going now on back into a kind of family, a larger family environment. The family that my parents, Annalise's grandparents, my brother, gives me a chance to feel everything, to just be as conscious as I can of the elements in play, not just in my own household and with my own daughter, but in my own in my history, in my larger life, where I come from. And ultimately, what I was kind of feeling this morning is that families are kind of like tribes or teams. It's like we chose each other because we have the potential to support each other in the various journeys we want to take. And I'm so in a way, heading into this environment, it's kind of what I think I said this my last trip to Michigan, but it came through even more clearly just this morning, which is that ultimately that's a position of service. If I can get myself to a place where I'm in service, I'm willing to be in service in whatever way, not just to Annalise, who has my heart, and whom I where the sort of need for service is very obvious, but to my entire family, to everyone. If I can bring myself to a position of service and then stay there, that's the other trick, right? It's one thing to sort of recognize, oh yeah, we need to be in service, that's the only way. But then the first thing sets us off, the first thing that doesn't correspond to our picture of what we want this time to look like, or whatever, want this interaction to look like, whatever it is, then it becomes a trick to really kind of manage ourselves and be honest, be conscious, remain in the game. And but the image that started to come up for me was just this image of a family with energy flowing kind of both directions, all directions. It's not just from the older generations down. It's we're all here. We're all on Earth. We're all evolving. We're all in a particular state of consciousness, and we're in a particular place in our evolution. And we've got this team around us. We've got these people who have all agreed to support us, and who we've agreed to support in this endeavor. And it's just a kind of a beautiful thing when I can rest in that awareness. It just becomes a really beautiful thing. I'm really grateful. I relax. And I just kind of know that I'm in the right place. I know all is well. So I'm going to carry that with me as we travel today and as we arrive tomorrow. You know, life serves up these incredible challenges, these incredible moments of potential for growth. And my own journey of, I would mark the evolution. One of the ways I would mark the evolution of my consciousness is that I notice more and more of them. And by noticing more and more of them, I see my life become. There's a richness. There's an intensity to the process of life that's increasing. It's funny. I was watching this show called The Good Place, and there's this moment where one of the kind of higher being characters makes he has to like subtly and without being explicit get a bunch of humans to do something, and it works. And then afterwards they say thanks so much for those clues that let us do that. And he says, well, actually, because your minds are so primitive, I left you 12,000 clues. And the joke is like, well, they picked up on like 4 of them and they still did what they needed to do, but they only picked up on 4 of the 12,000 clues. And I sometimes think that our growth opportunities are like that. Life, they're everywhere. Those moments are everywhere. They're just waiting for us to see them. And a family environment. Family environment will hand them to us. And we just have to want to look. We just have to want to look. So, and this is going to be a lot of fun too. That's the other thing. It's almost like when we do that part well, then we get the freedom and the play as well. As opposed to if we are just going for the freedom and the play, then these other things become kind of like a distraction, and then our priorities are kind of flipped. It doesn't feel free or playful. So, but I'm learning this process, and I feel like all of my close loved ones are as well. So, that's what I got today, folks. I'll see you in Michigan tomorrow. Much love. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.